It's under 80 degrees in Houston. Fall has officially arrived. Hi, I'm Julie Hartsfield with Heartfelt Beauty. Like a lot of other people, October is one of my favorite months. Beautiful weather, everyone's getting ready for the holidays to come. Pumpkins and pumpkin spice and orange and black everything. And Halloween. And in the spirit of Halloween, today we are making a magical mask. So I sell a version of this mask in my salon. I call it Black Magic Mask. It uses charcoal and changes from what looks kind of cookies and creamy, black and white, into a black mask. I wasn't sure if I wanted to share this formulation on my YouTube channel or not, but I've updated it, changed it a little bit, and I've created a Halloween pumpkin charcoal transforming mask. So when you first see this mask, it's an orange colored clay-based mask. The magical part of it is that as you start to break it down, the charcoal beads will release and the whole mask will change color. This one will go to a dark kind of swampy green. It's a little deeper than it looks in the video. It's really fun to make. I've created this to be an exfoliating formula. My original Black Magic mask is more of a lighten and brighten type formulation, but I was kind of needing an exfoliating mask. I'd used up my last one that I was testing out, so I decided I'll change this one up, and this will be my Happy Halloween treat to you. So come on. Let's go make your new favorite mask. This is the formula for the Black Magic mask. Now don't get worried seeing all these different phases. This formula is nothing more than an emulsion with the addition of some kaolin clay, and then at the end we add some Vitae burst beads, and that's what gives it that color transformation. Phase A is our water phase. Our water phase contains glycerin and sorbitol as our humectants. Humectants attract water from the air to help moisturize the skin, and the addition of humectants in our mask helps keep it from drying too quickly. Sorbitol also helps support the effect of thickeners. Clay and extracts are both difficult to preserve, so using the idea of hurdle technology, we're going to add more ingredients to our formula that inhibit the microbial growth and that will make it more difficult for all the nasties to grow in our mask, and that will in turn enhance our preservative system and make it more robust. Neodefend is a heat-safe broad-spectrum preservative that I have in the water phase. Gluconolactone is the PHA, or polyhydroxy acid, in Neodefend. It conditions, hydrates, and gives the skin a smoother texture because of the acid. So the Neodefend has skin benefits and preservative benefits within the formula. Phase B is our water phase thickener. We're using sodium carbomer. It's a pre-neutralized carbomer, and that will just thicken our water phase to make our emulsion more stable and to enhance the skin feel of our formula. Phase C is our oil phase, and you can use whatever oils you're comfortable with in this mask. I've chosen a few, some based on their color, some based on their benefits. The golden jojoba oil and Abyssinian oil, those are both resistant to oxidation, really good oils to use in lots of different formulations, and I really like the way they feel on my skin. Pomegranate seed and pumpkin seed oil are both soothing and very restorative to the skin. When you're making an exfoliating mask, I find trying to add some soothing elements into it can be beneficial for some of the people who have kind of sensitive skin. And sea buckthornberry oil, I chose that not only for its skin benefits, but also for its color. It's a really vibrant orange, and I wanted to just support the color that I'm making the mask. Be careful though, because sea buckthornberry oil can stain if you go overboard. So a little goes a long way. Our emulsifier is Montanov 68. It is a non-ionic liquid crystal emulsifier. These emulsifiers work a little bit differently than emulsifiers like E-Wax or Polo Wax. They actually promote liquid crystals around the oil droplets and in the continuous phase, and that actually mimics the lipid bilayer of our skin. These types of emulsifiers usually create emulsions that are considered lighter and more moisturizing than other types. And of all the types of emulsifiers that I've used the Vitae Burst beads with, it seems like the liquid crystal emulsifiers have the best results. The Vitae Burst beads need enough moisture and enough water to fully hydrate so that whenever you break them down, they can explode and do their thing. And if your formula doesn't have enough water or it's too waxy or too thick, the Vitae Burst beads won't all like explode, and you'll have a really rough time breaking them down. They'll have more of a scrubby kind of feel. I'm also using as a thickener behenyl alcohol. It's a fatty alcohol that you can use just like cetyl or cetyl alcohol. I just really like the combination of the glide of behenyl alcohol with the Montanov 68. After our emulsion's formed, we'll add phase D, and that's just our clay. I'm using kaolin clay because it's white, and white makes kind of a good base or backdrop for the color, since this is a colored mask. But you could also use an orange clay or whatever color you'd like. Our cool down phase is full of extracts. I chose these, but you can feel free to change it up, use whatever you like, add some cosmetic actives, be creative. I chose pumpkin seed extract, not only because it's Halloween, but it's also a smoothing, firming, and toning extract. I also used papain powder. My skin loves enzymes. Papain comes from a papaya. It's a natural exfoliant. Being a proteolytic enzyme means that it is an enzyme that breaks down proteins. So what that means to your skin is that when you use an enzyme in your skincare, it can help break down and like dissolve the fats or the oils that are in your pores and in your skin and help purge congested skin types. When I started using enzymes in my skincare, it was a major game changer for me. Willow bark extract is another natural exfoliant, and it also has antimicrobial activity. So this will be another ingredient that will help support our preservative system. And one of the most used extracts for lightening and brightening the skin is licorice extract. Lipomoist is an amazing product. It's a combination of polysaccharides and vegetable-derived peptides, and it forms a molecular film on the skin. So what that means is it reduces transepidermal water loss and may help increase collagen production and improve delivery of actives to the skin. So it's a great addition into any skincare product. But what it does in the mask is it helps increase the drying time. The longer the mask can stay damp on the skin, the longer time you have for all of the actives and the good things to keep working. Once that clay kind of dries up, it's done. So I aim to get the mask to have at least a 20 to 30 minute drying time, and this formulation is between 20 and 25 minutes. After that, we have our antioxidant, which is kind of necessary when working with pumpkin seed oil, I found. And I have Liquid Germol Plus, which is a broad spectrum, really great preservative. I don't have to use the 0.5% maximum in this case because of the other things I've worked into my preservative system. At the very end, I will add my Vitae Burst beads, whatever the total amount is. So I'm making here 300 grams. I add 12% of that into my formula, and using the black ones that have charcoal, that's enough to really change the color. You can use more or less depending on what you'd like to accomplish. These are really, really cool. You'll be able to see how they work. Do some research on them if you need more information. It's very important to understand the difference, though, between jojoba beads and Vitae Burst. Jojoba beads are an alternative to microplastics. They're a physical exfoliant you can add into your scrubs or washes and will help, give you that scrubby feeling that we're used to getting from microplastics that are outlawed now. Vitae Burst is designed to hydrate and swell, and then upon application, release their goodness into the formula. There's pink, gold, blue, green, different colors. They all have a different featured ingredient. But what's really important to note is that if you put Vitae Burst into an anhydrous formulation, they will feel like jojoba beads. They will have that scrubby kind of feel. You'll lose the whole effect. Vitae Burst beads are way more expensive than jojoba beads. So I would suggest if you want something for the physical exfoliation, go with jojoba. If you're going to add them into a water containing formulation where they can properly hydrate and create that really cool burst in your formula, then use the Vitae Burst beads. They're just too expensive to use if you're not going to use them the way that they're intended. So if you wanted to strip this mask formula down, you could just have a water phase with water and humectants, an oil phase with oil and emulsifier, a phase with the clay after the emulsion's formed, a cool down phase with your preservative and an antioxidant if you need it, and then your Vitae Burst beads. So you don't even have to add a whole lot of extra stuff. I really encourage you to get creative. So let's go make some mask. I begin with 144 grams of distilled water. I add 9 grams of glycerin and 6 grams of sorbitol. Next, I measure out 2.25 grams of my Neo Defend and mix that into my water phase very well. Now my water phase is complete and I can set that aside. I switch out to my larger scale and measure out 9 grams of my golden jojoba oil, 6 grams of pomegranate seed oil, 15 grams of Abyssinian oil. I add 12 grams of unrefined pumpkin seed oil. Pumpkin seed oil is really cool. It has a dichromatic effect, which is an optical phenomenon where a thin layer of pumpkin seed oil looks green, but a thick layer of it looks red. So it's a really cool color when you get the unrefined. 3 grams of sea buckthorn berry oil. Next, I measure out 12 grams of Montanov 68 and 3 grams of Behenol alcohol. Into my oil phase, I add an orange mica. This is one from Chemistry Connection, also known as Make Your Own .buzz. I just measure this and mix it until it's the color I want because this is just for my personal use. If I was developing this formulation, I would definitely be measuring out how much mica and making a note of my final amount when I got the color right. Next, I'll pop these in a water bath, heat them to 75 degrees Celsius, and hold them there for 20 minutes. While that heats, I'm going to measure out my other phases so they'll be ready to go. This is my phase B. I measure out 0.3 grams of sodium carbomer. Phase D is 45 grams of kaolin clay. In phase E, I measure out 3.6 grams of pumpkin seed extract, 9 grams of willow bark extract, 3 grams licorice extract, 0.45 grams of tocopherol. I measure 15 grams of lipomoist. Do always make sure that I shake this one before I pour it. 0.9 grams liquid Germol Plus and 1.5 grams of papain powder. And last but not least, I measure out my Vitae Burst beads. I measure 12%, which is 36 grams. You can see these are small, hard little beads. They're not plump or hydrated yet. The picture that I showed earlier in that slide was actually poppy seeds because I was too lazy to go take a good picture. But you can see here kind of what they look like. Once my water phase comes off of the heat, I create a vortex using my immersion blender and add the sodium carbomer to it. Mix it until it's completely mixed and the water phase will be slightly thickened. Add the water phase into the heated oil phase and mix with high shear until the emulsion forms. I mix it for a couple minutes, then I make a cooling jacket using a frozen gel ice pack. By kind of wrapping that container with this cold gel, it does help more rapidly cool the emulsion and start to thicken so I can start adding my next phases quicker. When the temperature reaches 45 degrees Celsius, I add my cool down phase. Once I'm sure that's really well blended, it's time to add the kaolin clay. I add it a little bit at a time and make sure that I mix well in between each addition until there are no lumps left. Now it's time to mix in the Vitae Burst beads. I mix them in a little at a time and just make sure they're really evenly distributed, but you don't have to be that perfect about it. As long as you mix it really well, it will be fine. They stay dehydrated for a good amount of time, so you'll have plenty of time to get it mixed up. But make sure that now is the time you do it. Once these get hydrated and you start mixing again, it'll turn everything into a black streaky mess. So get it all well mixed and then package it up right away. There's no little clumps and everything's distributed. So it's time for me to pour this into my 4-ounce jars. Now here comes the hard part, waiting for 24 hours for the Vitae Burst beads to completely hydrate before you can use your new black magic mask. And here it is the next day. Everything has hydrated, the beads are nice and plump, and it's a beautiful Halloween themed mask that transforms before your eyes. I really hope you enjoyed this formula, and I hope you have a happy and safe Halloween. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. Like, comment, subscribe, share beauty, spread love. I'll see you soon.